Hello everyone, my name is Matt Scorpion and welcome back to the Reset Update. So officially it is week 3, Raid Race has gone by, and in terms of the way the world changed, now I don't know if there's any sort of real quests going on, of course I did this as soon as it got on, but there is some visual changes, like there is some darkness splinters that are interactable popping up throughout Neomuna. But in terms of things like last year where we had preservation pop up, I don't think we have anything like that immediately. We still have the partitions rotating around, we still have the weekly missions and that sort of thing. So if you're expecting much to happen after Raid Race, or the week after Raid Race, currently there's nothing exactly unique as in terms of the Rising World. Although they might tie into the season slightly, it's hard to tell. But speaking of the world, so getting into the main brunt of things, so we have Vanguard currently, which the current Grandmaster, or the current strike, let me say, for the Nightfalls, is the Hypernet Current, which is the Neomuna strike that we got with the campaign, where we initially encountered Nezerac. So this one at Master is going to be, let's see, at 1840, is going to come with Overload and Unstoppable Champions, because mostly taken. Arc Threat for incoming arc damage doing bonus damage. Denial where taken Vandals will summon their shield more often, so actually having something with a barrier capability is going to be handy. Also have Famine for all ammunition drops being reduced, but then also overcharge weapons, including Solar Surge and Strand Surge, as well as overcharge grenade launchers. So, if you wish to go and spec out according, there you go. There's your options. Then, as well, for the weapon this week, it was, if I recall, Mindbenders last week and Hung Jury the first week, so those are at least two things, but there's also the way you can check with Zavala to see what the option is. And with Focusing, let's see, it is currently Wendigo that's currently available. That, well, it may not be the adept version, is still pretty solid of an option to get your hands on. Explosive Light Autoloading, Cascade Point, I know a bunch of those are pretty good damage metas in terms of a grenade launcher. Don't know if it'll outdo other things, but it's definitely an option you can go with. So, once again, Wendigo is currently the Nightfall weapon. Aside from that, going into Gambit, we do currently have boosted Gambit Infamy. So if you wish to actually go for anything, whether it's leveling up, getting access to the seasonal weapon, just getting through challenges, or getting the ranks up to never have to deal with it, getting the double rolls and things, now is a good week to start working on that, aside from just playing normally. Next into Crucible. So, I don't believe, or I forget, honestly, 100% what we have next. So, we have Team Scorch for our Rotator, but whether or not we have Trials active this week is hard to say. I do know that I believe Iron Banner was supposed to be this week, but because of an issue with connectivity and that sort of thing, they didn't want Iron Banner to launch weird. So, there is an issue that is Crucible-related being fixed soon that will be, that. So we'll either have Trials this weekend or next weekend, so just in case I am wrong about that. Then going into the Helm, you'll also get an update basically saying that the Helm will now have all Defiant Battlegrounds. So at the same time, there is a third arena that was, activated with the season as it progressed. I have not seen it just yet, but at least that is one way the world is changing. So going into the raids and dungeon rotations. So currently the raid is actually on Europa, and it is Deepstone Crypt. So if you still wanted to farm that out for red border weapons out of here, this is the best time to do it. Now, because obviously all challenges are active, can be redone nearly infinitely if I recall. And as well, everything can be farmed and just redone over and over again in case you're looking for a specific gear. Then, in terms of the rest of the raids going throughout the world, so for Kingsfall currently, we do have the Grass is Always Greener challenge, which I still keep forgetting what the hell Kingsfall is about. But then, in terms of the Throne World, going into the Vowed Disciple raid, we have the Looping Catalyst challenge, which is Rolk challenge, in case you wanted some extra drops out of the boss. Basically, cannot lose the Leeching buff once you gain it during a cycle. Then, in terms of Throne World, weekly mission for this week is the Ghosts mission. Third mission where you have to fight the, I always forget, the Raider? Ravager? I forget, the Hangman knockoff. And then, as well, going into the Dreaming City for our next raid, we have a Summoning Ritual for that, which I also forget that one. And lastly, for our raid, it is 0 to 100 for challenges. That is the final boss challenge, where basically you have to fill all of the deposits 0 to full within 30 seconds of the start. And as well, our rotation dungeon is Duality, so that is infinitely farmable, including it's what's the word? Including Heart Shadow. So in case, or I think that it's including Heart Shadow. So in case you wanted to farm this one out and actually get your hands on something that's quite good, well, I don't want to say quite good, but some decent gear, that is the time to go for it there. And as well, the, what's the word? Vex Caliber has been redone, so there is another damage, or there is another difficulty to it, which would improve leveling as well, which also comes with a variety of things. But at the same time, I imagine we'll get the next week of seasonal stuff the way we did Revision 0. We'll probably just gotta progress the season to get access to that. Speaking of, well, actually, no, I already visited the season. There's not much else to do there, so... Checking before we move off the map, for Dares of Eternity on Legend mode, our current Legend mode is Fallen, Hive, and Zydron for the arrangement of orders. Now, getting into the season itself. So, we have, for this week, Week 3, we have complete Week 3 of We Stand Unbroken, basically do this weekly seasonal stuff. We also have Bane of the Shadow Legion, where it's using abilities to defeat combatants in the Defiant Battlegrounds playlist. Defeating combatants with the Strand subclass will grant you bonus progress, however. Then we also have Defiant Defeated, or Defiantly Defeated, which is basically using this season of the Defiance weapons anywhere, using the Perpetualis, Prodigal Return, Regnant, Caretaker, Racketeur, and Royal Executioner weapons. If you don't know what they are, they're the awoken weapons that do look like they're covered in crystals. Then we also have Uprooted Nightmare, which basically makes it so, well, it says basically just complete all of the words. Complete all of the encounters of Rooted Nightmares one by one. You don't have to do it all in one go. You can complete one by one in case it is, you know, an issue. We also have the EDZ activities, which is in the EDZ. Earn progress by completing bounties, patrols, public events, and lost sectors in the EDZ. Commendation Appreciation, where it's earned progress for giving commendations in Vanguard, Crucible, and Gambit. So actually give out your commendations. Although I might recommend maybe Gambit over Crucible, just because there's so few seconds getting out of Crucible that you don't have time to give it to everyone who deserves it. We also have, now see, this is the thing, I do believe we were supposed to have Iron Banner, and that actually reinforced it. I do say we do have Trial because we have the challenge for completing Iron Banner, but it was reshuffled around, so there's that. So complete this when Iron Banner comes around. It'll be a week late, but you'll do it by accident. You also have Primeval Entourage for defeating Tegan and Gambit, bonus progress for yellow bars or above. You also have Ultimate Champion for defeating champions in any Nightfall Strike on Hero difficulty or higher, which is the only difficulty that we can do. We also earn bonus progress for higher difficulty tiers. And then we also have Mid-Range Calibration by using hand cannons, auto rifles, glaives, fusion rifles, and machine guns in the EDZ. Bonus progress for rapid defeats. On that note, we need to check out a few places in the tower, as long as I don't think I'm forgetting anything. Off the top of my head, I do not believe I am. So, challenge modes are of course not active for Root of Nightmares just yet, so don't have to worry about them. Why am I talking to you? There's nothing for you. Actually, on that note, let me actually do check. I think challenge modes only launch with, what's the words? Yeah, challenge mode will launch when Master comes out, just in case you are wondering where that is. Now, at Banshee, on his front page, we have the Under Your Skin, a precision frame compound bow, void from Season of the Risen, with the Land Tank origin trait, which basically makes you gain increased resilience and additional damage resistance for a few seconds. This roll, Turnabout, and Unrelenting, this is honestly the most healy I've seen a gun ever be. Turnabout will give you bonus overshields, and then at the same time, Unrelenting will give you health on multi-kills. This is a pretty solid bow, so I'd recommend getting your hands on one. It is craftable as well, in case you wanted to track it down. We also have Judgment of Kelgaroth, which, I'm not gonna lie, I would usually not recommend this roll initially, but this is what I was using for a majority of the Legend campaign on my Warlock because I didn't have one on upgraded. This is actually a pretty damn good roll. Genesis throughout the Witch Queen, or the Lightfall campaign, was a godsend considering all the Cabal shields and auto reloads I got because of it. So I actually would recommend that for anyone who's looking for a endgame sort of thing, or legendary, or a glaive for legendary campaigns. We also have Cold Denial, high impact frame pulse rifle from Season of the Arrivals. Definitely would recommend this. This has a solid feel, PvE or PvP wise. Definitely perks that can go both ways. Not craftable though, so there's that. We also have Drang Baroque, which is basically a sidearm to go with words. It's a part of the Menagerie set, which gives us the 2 excess origin trait, where Final Blows while super is full will grant a bonus to melee and grenade regeneration. But this also is a pretty much adaptive frame pistol that compares with Sturm as usual. You also have more class swords available. However, they are the old version of the class sword, so I would still recommend getting your hands on the new ones from the war table currently. Then, in his main page, we have Pizzicato 22, an adaptive frame Suro submachine gun new to Season of the Plunder, which, with the Suro Synergy perk, Mulligan, and Swashbuckler, this seems like a compound PvE or PvP role, although it's hard to say whether or not this holds a candle to any of the other SMGs, because if I recall, Suro's SMGs are pretty weak pea shooters. Then we have the Orvandil FR6, a Amalon Stasis high impact frame fusion rifle with chill clip and slideways, which I would not say is that half bad of a roll. Because, you know, it's the same reason that slide shot and blinding nades is nuts, because the slide shot will auto reload it and slideways can auto load it to keep chill clip topped up. Might actually recommend that. That is a good sounding roll. You also have the Number, which is a precision frame Amalon auto rifle. While it does not have the Amalon perk, it does have a pretty decent setup of PvP perks in case you want a Wellspring for ability regens and Killing Wind for general stat buffs. High cal, arrowhead, it is a pretty solid option. We also have Pleiadius Corrector, which is another Amalon scout rifle that does not have access to the Amalon origin perk. This is a lightweight frame scout, which seems to be akin to the auto reload family, because with subsystems auto reloading the gun itself and synthetic arsenal reloading everything else, definitely on that note, plus unstoppable scout, so in case you needed a decent scout for anything just really quick, there is that. We also have Nazredin, which is a adaptive frame, I'm just gonna say gunsmith sword, because I think that is it. I'm just gonna say this is a gunsmith sword with a field-tested origin trait where swords can increase charge rate and guard resistance after defeating targets or dealing damage. But the perks like these, though, I might not recommend it. It does have access to Jagged Edge and Swordmaster's Guard, so it is basically the most damage as well as the fastest recharge rate for a sword. But at the same time, there are other ones out there. Exotic ones are slightly better. Then we also have the Marsilian C, which is a Hawkeye rapid-fire grenade launcher, also craftable. With this perk roll, it's definitely akin to heavier targets, I'd say, with Vorpal and Turnabout, but it's also craftable, so I'd recommend that if you want a good roll on that, just craft it yourself. Now to visit Ada to see what she has in terms of shaders. Alright, so she seems to have a bunch of retro ones. We have on the front page New Age Black Armory. Essentially what was the black and red shader for the longest time, which I'm not gonna lie, was pretty good. My main issue was, unfortunately, it was a live shader, so you saw these weird radiance wobbles that you could not deactivate, so you're kind of just stuck with them, regardless of what you put them on. So, there's that. Then you also have Arctic Dreamscape, which is essentially Arctic Camo, the shader. So, in case you actually wanted a look that was basically Arctic Camo, and more multicam as opposed to just Spotted Forest Camo, there you go. And we also have New Monarchy Allegiance, which is from Season of the Warmind, which is, well, there's that. It's very orange and very red. I feel like I'm a citrus ready to explode. On that note, that is essentially the reset update. Everything important going on about the world and the game. So, keep an eye on everything, because of course the season is still continuing. While it might be a short season, it's still continuing. On that note, my name is Matt Scorpion. I will see you in the next video.